Hello and a big welcome to the channel. I'm Captain Wilson and this is Flawless 195. Welcome to the Route Explainer video, version 2, because I just wanted to make a better version of the Route Explainer video. The audio was a bit off as well, very echoey. This should be much better audio quality, and just wanted to highlight a few things that I missed before and not mention some waffle that I mentioned the first time round. So this is a more precise Route Explainer video. So this is how it works. The target, the aim is to visit all 195 countries, getting as close to or in the capital city of all 195 countries. So we start at Manchester, my hometown, which obviously isn't a capital city. We do flight 1 over to Dublin, Ireland, flight 2 to London, obviously the capital of the UK, if you want to put it like that, and then into Europe, so Paris, then Luxembourg, Belgium, Netherlands, on we go around Europe. So 99% of the time it is simply capital city to capital city, point A to point B in an Airbus A320. Now there's 195 countries, but it takes 209 flights to do every single country, and this is why there are 3 sections that include what I'm going to call excursion flights, where I cannot land in certain countries in the Airbus A320. Either the runway strip is too short or there simply is no runway strip. So there are 3 sections of the world tour. There's this big section here in Europe where I have to use other methods of aircraft to get into those countries. There's also, to get into Palestine, I have to use a helicopter there. Also to get to the Seychelles. And also in South America over here, I have to get a smaller aircraft out. But 99% of the time, it is Airbus A320 from point A to point B. Now, I'm going to take you through the places where and what the plan is in the 3 sections where I have to change aircraft, and this is exactly how it's going to work. So the first 33 flights of the world tour around Europe are point A to point B until we land in Switzerland. Now where the orange line comes in, we ignore the pink. So this is how it's going to work. So once we land in Bern in Switzerland, we're then aiming for Liechtenstein. Now, there is no runway strip in Liechtenstein whatsoever. So the plan is this. We go from Bern to eastern Switzerland, a runway called Mollis, Flugplatz Mollis. And we then pick up the helicopter, that's the blue line, into Liechtenstein, back out, and then pick up the Airbus A320 onto the next country. So the Airbus A320 does not teleport from one airport to another one. I have to pick it up from where I drop it off at. So the Airbus A320 is the crucial one. That's the one coming around the world with us. We've got 6 helicopters on standby when we need them, where we need them. We've also got 3 Daha TBMs on standby. One of them is in Barcelona waiting for us. Another Daha TBM, which is the smaller aircraft. If you're not aware, Daha TBMs are much smaller aircraft. So we've got one of them waiting for us in Barcelona. We've got another one waiting for us on the northernmost tip of Madagascar, waiting to go out to the Seychelles, and we've got another one in Trinidad and Tobago over here. So there's 3 Daha TBMs on standby and 6 helicopters. The 6 helicopters on standby. There is one in Flugplatz Mollis in Switzerland. There's also another one in Rimini, Italy, another one in Fiumicino Airport, Italy, another one in Nice, one at La Seu d'Urgell, which is in northern Spain, and the final helicopter waiting for us is in Jerusalem. So those are the 6 helicopters on standby and the 3 Daha TBMs on standby. Now, this is how it's going to work for the tricky sections of the world tour. So I've bundled a interesting section of the world tour altogether. In other words, there's a bunch of excursion flights from Switzerland to by the time we get to Madrid. So this section here of these 5 or 6 countries are all tricky to get to. So I'll put them all together as one tricky leg of the world tour, or interesting, although, you know, glass half full, glass half interesting part of the world tour I'll go for. So this is the plan. So we land in Bern in Switzerland, tick off Switzerland, and then get the Airbus A320 over to Flugplatz Mollis. Before then, the Blue Line donates the helicopter over to a field in Vaduz, as near to the centre as I can get in Vaduz, and back again to Flugplatz Mollis before then picking up the Airbus A320 and taking it south to Rimini. We then pick up another helicopter to get into San Marino. There's a little airstrip here. You could potentially land the Daha TBM there, but it's risky. So it's not worth the risk. So what I'll do is get the helicopter over and back again, pick up the Airbus A320. So you get the idea. The Airbus A320 stays where I put it, you know, and I have to go and pick it up again and take it to the next destination. So that's San Marino. We then have the Vatican City one. So we land in Fiumicino. That ticks off Italy. That's as near to Rome as we can get. And then to tick off Vatican City, we simply get the helicopter over to the Vatican City courtyard, land it in the courtyard, and then back we go to Fiumicino, and then pick up the Airbus A320 and head over to Nice, where we've got another helicopter on standby that takes us over to Monaco. We land on a helipad in the Monaco harbour, head back to Nice, and then on we go to Barcelona. We drop the plane off, we drop the Airbus A320 off, to be specific with it, in Barcelona. We then get the Daha TBM up to La Seu d'Urgell, a small little airstrip here. Now, I have tried to land here in the Airbus A320, go direct to here. It's possible, but it's risky. I'll be 50 flights in, so I've opted for the safer route of getting the Daha TBM into La Seu d'Urgell, which is in the mountains, and then helicopter into Andorra la Vella. Again, land it in a field as near to the centre of Andorra la Vella as I can. Back to La Seu d'Urgell, pick up the Daha TBM and come back to Barcelona before then picking up the main aircraft that's taken us around the world, the Airbus A320, and on to Madrid. That's flight 50. It then becomes more straightforward as we head into Portugal and then into Africa, Northern Africa. Tick off a few of these. There's still a few in Europe that are tick off, so it's not strictly speaking a European leg, then an African leg, then a Middle East. I'm sort of doing it in the most logistically best way possible. So we come back into Europe for a couple of flights over here, you know, Greece and Turkey, Cyprus, and then head into the Middle East before heading back into Africa. So there's another little excursion here. Over to the Gaza Strip in the helicopter and back again. Then we head into Egypt. So that's that bit. And then Africa, most of Africa is point A to point B. So we wind our way around the west coast of Africa, coming down here. There'll be some lengthy flights once we get into Africa. Around Europe, the flight's going to be half an hour tops. And then once we get into Africa, we could get some 2-3 hour flights. So it get a bit more lengthy flights going on. Head down to South Africa. There's an interesting one. Where is it? Where is the this one here? So this is an interesting situation where you've got Brazzaville on one side of the river and Kinshasa on the other, capitals of 2 different countries. So I'll literally, for this flight, have to probably come out of my way and come round here just to land there to tick off that very complicated situation that I know nothing about. So I'm not even going to comment further on that, but that's how that section's going to be done. Then we come round here into South Africa, which has 3 recognised capitals. I've gone for Cape Town. Then Lesotho, Eswatini. Then over to this Madagascar little section here. So this is another little tricky bit of the World Tour. So this is how this works. We ignore the pink line where the orange comes in. So we go to the capital of Madagascar first, which is Antananarivo. I absolutely mullered the, absolutely ruined the attempt at the pronunciation of that, but I think that's about right. Over to Mauritius, and then from Mauritius we head to, I think it's a military runway right on the northern tip of Madagascar before heading out for what I'm going to call the big one, to the Seychelles. So the Seychelles is a unique challenge in that an airstrip does exist in real life that does not exist within the sim. This is the only situation in the World Tour that I've come across this issue. So the original plan was to land at a tiny island here called Fragate, but the runway strip is so tiny, and I've done many practice flights into this runway strip. It's risky. I'll be more or less 100 flights. I'll be halfway around the World Tour at this point. It's not worth the risk of trying to land there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Daha from the northernmost tip of Madagascar. And in the sim, this runway strip doth not exist. What it is it's a field with a few bushes in it. Now, I have practice. I can do this. I can land the Daha TBM in the field here, turn around, tick off the Seychelles before then heading back to the northernmost tip of Madagascar to pick up the Airbus A320. But this is the big one because there is no, the autopilot doesn't work very well in the Daha TBM. So this is basically a manual flight in a tiny aircraft that's going to be more than 3 hours each way. So this is the big one, really. If I sort of get back from the Seychelles, we're doing quite well, and we're probably over halfway through it as well. So once we pick up the Airbus A320 on the northernmost tip of Madagascar, we then head to Comoros, and then it becomes point A to point B again, winding our way up the eastern coast of Africa before heading into the Middle East. But yeah, once we've cracked the Seychelles, it's then like 80, 90 flights of point A to point B with just the Airbus A320 through the Middle East, ticking off these ones before heading into Asia. All the stands: Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan. Then a couple of lengthy flights from Kazakhstan to Mongolia. That could be like a four-hour plus flight. Then China, North Korea, and all that, Japan. And then another lengthy one to Palau, south from Japan to Palau. Again, 4 hours plus. Then we tackle Southeast Asia, coming back round. Then these will be two very challenging landings, especially I think the one in Bhutan is a really technical, tricky landing. So I can see a situation where I'm waiting in Bangladesh, literally waiting for a clear day to fly into Bhutan. We'll tackle that when we get there, because obviously it's live weather, live time as well. Obviously no crashes. This is a flawless 195 run. This is without any crashes. Any crashed landings. If I have to do diversions, I will do, and then come back to that airport on another attempt. If it's bad weather or there's a problem with the plane and I have to divert and land somewhere else, I will do, and then go back to that airport on another attempt before ticking that off. So if, for example, I'm aiming for New Delhi and I have to land here, I don't just tick off India. I go to New Delhi on another attempt, if you get what I mean. I will land at the airport that I've set up in the World Tour route, come what may, on however many attempts it takes. So that's the plan through the Himalayas. Then another lengthy flight from New Delhi to the Maldives. Malé, is it, the capital? Then head back over across, ticking off Singapore, Malaysia. This looks like one long flight, but it's not. There's a stop in Timor-Leste, but even so, there'll be two lengthy flights. We then start dancing round the South Pacific to all the island countries in the South Pacific, obviously ticking off Australia, New Zealand, and heading across the South Pacific, heading across the Pacific here from Kiribati to Mexico City is likely to be the longest flight in the tour, north of 5 hours, I would imagine, from Kiribati to Mexico City. We then tackle Central America and South America in one nice, neat loop, before then tackling this section here. So this plan has changed a lot over the last few months, and this is what I think is the best way to do it. So this is the final leg using the Daha TBM. So this is the third and final Daha TBM that's on standby for us at Trinidad and Tobago. So we come from Brasilia up to Trinidad and Tobago, drop the plane off there before heading back on ourselves to Paramaribo in Suriname. Is what I presume you pronounce it as. These airstrips, the one in Paramaribo and the one in Georgetown, are simply not long enough to warrant the risk of trying to land the Airbus A320 there. Hence why we drop it off in Trinidad and Tobago, get the Daha over to Paramaribo before heading to Georgetown, and then back to Trinidad and Tobago to pick up the Airbus A320 over to capital of Venezuela before heading on the final leg of the world tour into the Caribbean. Now, not all of these islands are countries within their own right, so we duck and dodge around them as we need to and pass over some that we don't need to land at. We then come across Jamaica, Cuba, Bahamas. These are the final few flights. Washington DC, Ottawa, and then a couple of really lengthy flights to finish off the tour. This again, you're talking 5 hours, I would think, from Ottawa to Reykjavik, Iceland, and then the final leg of the journey, which completes the loop back into Manchester. So that is the route. In terms of a timeline, I'm getting through Europe pretty quick. As I record this now, I'm on flight 25. I'm around about here. I'm here. So I'm in Sarajevo. I'm currently recording this on the 31st of July, 2025. I've already got through half of Europe in a couple of weeks. All of these flights, 15, 20 minutes round here, half an hour tops. So I'm getting through Europe pretty quickly. And then once I get into Africa, it'll settle down probably to 2 to 3 flights a week from there on in. So expect it to take over a year. Like I say, I'll get through Europe in the first month, and then things will settle down as we get into Africa. So I expect it to take about a year. So maybe next summer or the back end of 26, I will get this done. I don't think this has ever been attempted before. Not that I've seen. I've searched on YouTube. Someone might be watching this who will actually tell me, no, this has actually been done 150 times before. But as far as I know, no one's really bothered to even try doing this. But yeah, that is the plan. What else? What else can I say? So I'm doing it on an Xbox Series S, which isn't the most powerful of things, so expect there to be some lag, especially in the more populated, busier capital cities. We've already seen that in London and Paris and a few other big cities. There was a lot of lag during takeoff and landing. So yeah, I'm doing it on Xbox on a pad. I manually fly the plane for the first 10,000 feet on takeoff. I manually land the plane, so autopilot comes off for the last 1,000 feet as well. Obviously the helicopter flights and the Daha TBM flights, there's no autopilot. I'm just freeballing those. What else? I think that just about sums it up for the route explainer video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the section below, and let me know when you're watching this how far through the world tour we are. Hoping a few of you join throughout this world tour and YouTube starts pushing the videos out at some point. I'll also be doing music from around the world, so from when we take off, I'll put music on native to the country that we're flying to. So we're going to have music from all around the world as well as we're going round. And yeah, that just about sums it up. Like I say, any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And thank you for watching the video. And hopefully it'll be good fun. You know, there'll be some challenges along the way. You know, despite the channel being flawless 195, it'll be anything but flawless. Already in the first 25 flights, we've had a few scares. I've tried to do a few night flights that I've regretted, but so far so good. The plane's in one piece. But that's it basically. You know, it's doing it to a certain degree of realism. You know, there's things that could be more realistic with setting up flight plans, etc. But it's realistic to a certain extent. You know, I'm not the biggest flight sim nerd going, but I have a good shot. I have a good go at it. I've got about 500 hours. This has taken a lot of practice. This is an idea that I've had for about 5 years, as it says in the intro. I'm not exaggerating, and I've done many attempts. The furthest I've got, as well, just as a bit of interest, the furthest I've got on doing this is about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. I got as far as Andorra, and I think it was the flight heading back here to Barcelona where I was on the descent around about here, and I was overstressing the aircraft. I was going too fast, coming in too aggressively, nose pointing down, full power, overstress the aircraft, and come up with the error message. So that is what kills the World Tour. Any error message that pops up, whether I damage landing gear, whether I overstress the aircraft, whether this, that, and the other, if any error message comes up, black screen, error, it's game over. And we start again from Manchester. Now, hopefully I can do this in one attempt. But if push comes to shove, you know, and something goes wrong and I do something stupid and an error message comes up that I've hit a mountain, then, or, you know, plummeted into the ocean. Either one of these things has happened before on many occasions. Then I probably take some time off to reflect, maybe tweak things a little bit. But it'll be starting again from Manchester. But like I say, hopefully I can do it in one attempt. And obviously, as the flights wear on, I'll get more and more risk averse. You know, a risk that I might take in Europe. By the time we get to the Bahamas, I won't be taking any kind of risk whatsoever. I'll be doing 7 go-arounds if I need to get that perfect landing. So yeah, that's it. Waffling on now. So that is the Route Explainer version 2. I did do an original version of the Route Explainer video, but the audio was terrible, and I didn't mention some things that I wanted to mention this time round. I mentioned a lot that I didn't want to mention this time around as well. So there you go. That is the Route Explainer video. Thank you for watching. I've been waffling on it for 25 minutes. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please do drop a like as well if you have enjoyed it and you are part of the World Tour. But yeah, that rounds off this video. Thank you and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Flawless 195.